Hi Jeff, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing all right today. It's a Monday.
All right.
It comes every week that Monday comes around, doesn't it?
And we're never ready for it.
We're never ready for it, but if we consider starting our week on a Sunday, I think we'd be all right.
True. I can hear that.
And then this could be the second day of the week or something along those lines. But anyway,
Right.
I just want to tell you thank you very much for coming into this what I call Community Connect. And basically what we're doing, Jeff, is we're just kind of getting together of different people that are in their profession and saying, hey, let's see what kind of information we can collaborate together, me as an agent, but yet for our community and you in pest control, which I think is so important when people are buying a home or existing homes. We forget
Right.
about our biggest asset.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm Yvonne with DXP Realty, and I actually, our company is an international company. We can sell anywhere. I'm kind of unique in that I do homes, and I also dab in a little bit more of the commercial end of it. Not no high risers, but I like to do small little commercial. You know, the difference between the two is commercial. You just do the deal. There's no feelings involved, but in residential, there's feelings involved. And if I go to a client and tell them you have got termites or you have got what I call piss ants, that isn't a real comfortable because something like that costs an amount of money. And this just comes with our maintenance of our home. So this is Jeff Wade, and he is with A&T Pest Control. And I want you to tell me, Jeff, some tips and tricks that you might say for somebody that notices something dark on the frame of their rooms.
Okay. Well, first of all, in our area, a lot of people think it's too dry here and they don't have to worry about termites.
Really?
Um, I believe houses in our area either have termites, head them, or they're going to get them. It's really common here. And most of the time when I see a big problem, it's because people ignored things that they saw and just didn't think anything of it. So I always feel like you will get to know your house. And if you see anything that doesn't look right, or that's not the way it was before, I know that wasn't there, then have somebody come look at it. It don't take much time for somebody to come and look at the issue that you're seeing. And if it's not a termite issue, then great. But if it is, then you can catch it before it's a problem. So,
My question would be, what are the top three things that somebody would even be looking for?
um, most of the time we look for spots on the walls. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. A lot of times it's as small as a little hole with dirt coming out of it in the sheetrock. Sometimes it's obvious, damaged baseboards, damaged siding. Uh, Most important are conducive conditions. Do not put wood to ground or wood piles next to your house or anything that puts a lot of moisture around your house.
Okay.
Chances are you're going to end up with termites if you do that. So,
What about some of the other critters that you may see that are very destructive in our home?
okay, so my specialty is wood destroying insect inspections. The
Okay.
most common in our area are subterranean termites and carpenter ants. Now you get to more humid climates and you run into other issues, but usually that's what we find in our houses, carpenter ants and subterranean termites. Whereas your subterranean termites eat the wood, carpenter ants nest in the wood and excavate the wood to build nest out of. So both of them are wood destroying. So we look for those when we do an inspection.
So, okay, so I know that I found that kind of interesting, Jeff. But when you come in for an inspection, if I have a full, like my house is fully, I mean, wall to wall furniture, where is it that you're going to go and look for these that I can, as the commoner, go look for a track of these insect infested areas?
Okay, so that's tricky. Every house we
Okay.
inspect has areas that are inaccessible. The more storage and more furniture is in the house, the less we can see. Um, but our eyes are trained as inspectors to look for the obvious and not obvious. So we're going to be looking at every accessible inch of the interior walls, exterior walls, crawl space under a house if it's on a pier and beam or in the attic. Um, that being said, if there's a entertainment center or a lot of furniture and paneling on walls, we're not going to be able to see that. Uh, but in many cases, when we do find termites, the homeowners were not aware that they were there.
Mm.
So, and most of the
So,
time, we will not find active termites. We'll just find the damage that they do.
oh, I see. So
Yeah.
I've heard, is this true, Jeff? I've heard that April is the month that they kind of begin to get their wings and fly out there. And is
Uh, they swarm usually in the spring and towards the fall after a big rain. So when we start getting moisture in the air, they will grow an exoskeleton and wings and swarm to reproduce.
oh,
So yeah, so that's when you hear horror stories of them flying out of people's walls, and they come home and they think they see dead ants and wings all over their floor and windowsills, but it's actually termites.
is it really? I've heard their
Yeah.
wings, to describe them, I've heard their wings are a lot bigger than their bodies even are.
Their wings, you have 4 equal wings on a termite that are as big as their body, whereas your ants are going to have smaller wings.
Hmm. Do they have a
So
mother bee? Do they have a mother termite? Do they have a, when you think of
there
their
there is a
insects?
queen, but the swarmers are reproductives. They're going out to reproduce. So they're not actually queens. They're going out to start to reproduce and become whatever a colony needs. So
Interesting, interesting. All right, take me back to houses. So of course we are talking about where you're looking for different, if somebody, what's the difference between spot treating maybe with somebody or your request of versus the entire house needs to be redone? I mean, what would you suggest?
okay, I'm not crazy about spot treatments personally.
Really? Okay.
Doing a spot treatment is kind of like putting a band-aid on it. In many cases, if we find termite evidence in one part of a wall, that doesn't mean they're coming up in that area. They could be coming up 2 or 3 feet down, and then the first time they made signs that we can see is where we're seeing them. So,
Mm,
so if you just go in and treat that area, then you may not be taking care of where the termites are actually coming up.
okay.
And in many cases, where when you have termites on your house, you treat that area, there's a good possibility they are somewhere else. We're just not seeing the signs of them yet. So a lot of times in the past, when we've done spot treatments, a year later, we're having to do another spot treatment and then another. So
Okay, so it's just kind of a whirlwind once it starts. So
right.
the treatment that you do that or that is done on it goes all four corners of the house, correct? To move in.
Yes, most of the time, I mean, each company can treat to their discretion the way they feel comfortable warranting it as long as it's to chemical label.
Okay.
Most of the time it is a full perimeter plus plumbing voids, slab joints, anywhere that we think the termites have an access to come into the house, we want to put that barrier down. But it does almost always consist of a full perimeter. Yes.
So is it true that if I have termites, my neighbor have termites?
Not always, but it is true
Okay.
that most of the time that they're in the area, yes, your neighbors could get them.
I'm
So
thinking, hey, I might treat mine and they're gonna move on next door and then it's gonna be someone else's problem. But I hear
I, I believe that you could put a board in almost anybody's yard and it will get termites on it.
is that
You
right?
can look at a lot of wood fences and there's termites on most wood fences. So
That's
we have subterranean termites. They live in the soil and they are pretty much everywhere.
There's
So
nothing you can do to prevent it as far as like putting it on your grass or
um, the treatment
a
to
home
prevent,
treatment. Just a
yeah, the
home
treatment
treatment.
to prevent is the same as if you have them. You can put a chemical
Oh,
barrier down. Um, your best prevention is, and it's still not 100%, if you don't want to pay for a chemical treatment, is to make sure you don't let the conducive conditions, the wood to ground, the moisture, keep that stuff away from your house. Have annual inspections. That way, if your house does get termites, you can catch them before they tear something up. If you're having annual inspections and you're having a fresh set of eyes on it every year, if termites were to pop up a week or two after that inspection, the next year you're still going to catch them before it's a big deal. So annual inspections are very important.
So an annual inspection would be hiring a pest inspector of some sort to come in, check out the areas that you're talking about, looking for the spots on the wall, baseboards, in the garage where they kind of nest.
Mhm.
That is probably like what for your biggest asset, a house is 250 average, just say that yearly is about 100 and some bucks. Would you agree
Right.
with that?
Absolutely. Yes.
So your biggest
That's
asset is definitely your home, and how do we maintenance that from these little critters?
annual inspections for $100 to $200. A treatment, if you do a termite treatment, it averages anywhere from, every company's different. It can be anywhere from 55 cents a square foot to $1 a square foot. It just depends
Okay.
on the company, the chemicals they use. But if you're having annual inspections, then you don't have to pay that price unless there's an issue. Some people have treatments done just because they feel more comfortable knowing that they don't have to worry about it. They have a treatment on their house.
So basically use it by the square footage. So if there was somebody that's listening to us today, they would just pretty much take their square footage and then times it times, a dollar or 55 cents or whatever, and get their cost factor.
That on average, I mean,
Good rule of
really, you
thumb.
would have to call the
Sure.
different companies. I mean, everybody's different.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a big expense. So if you ever run into an issue where you do need termite treatment, you definitely want to call around, get
Yes.
some
Yes.
quotes, check their warranties. Very important. Check warranties to see how long are they going to warranty their treatment for. So
I guess that's why so many people are going to the stone instead of using any kind of railroad track ties or half wood type things to do some of their landscaping stuff. It's just kind of advantageous if you do plan to do that to get that treated wood. Sometimes that helps, the newer homes are building it with that pre-treated wood. I don't know exactly the name of it, but I think that helps.
it does help to have pressure treated wood.
Okay.
Over time, that treatment in that wood does break down. So don't
Okay.
100% feel like you're protected with that, but it does help. Yes,
Put your eggs.
it makes a big
Tell,
difference.
tell me, Jeff, what kind of certification or what kind of class or what do you have to do to learn all this? If somebody is looking at this for a particular career, just say.
Okay, so things have changed a little bit since I started.
Yeah.
But you had to have worked for a company for up to 2 years under a certified licensed inspector treater.
Okay.
Have classroom training, and we do have to annually have on the job or CEU classes.
Yes.
So, but things have changed a little bit. I think now it's not a full 2 years, but you do have to have a lot of on the job training and classes to become certified. So
Okay. On the job training for sure. How do people get a hold of you, Jeff? I mean, you've made me like I want to go talk to Gino and go, hey, we need to do something, and have our house checked out because we haven't done it in a while. So how do I get a hold of you and what's my expectations?
from me, you can get a hold of me. I'm I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on the internet. I mean, most of your company's numbers are listed. I return my calls. If I don't answer my phone, I will return it. I mean, that day you'll hear from me.
Give me those
So
digits. What is your phone number?
four 432-530-7348 is the
And the
best way to
name
get
of
a
the
hold of me.
com and the name of the company is A&T Pest Control.
A&T Pest Control, I've been open since 2012. I have been in this business since 98. So I'm now considered an old timer in the business. So,
Join the club. Any questions that some of those clients ask you that your customers might ask you before you tell me a good horror story? Is there any questions that I'm not asking that somebody would call you in and ask you that we could offer to our community?
the most, the question I get asked the most is how often should we have our house checked?
Okay.
Yeah, every year.
Good to
And
hear.
if you're buying a house, like I said earlier, a lot of people think we don't have termites in this area, and they think there's no need in getting a termite inspection, especially if they're moving in from somewhere else. If you're buying a house, have it inspected. It is very common
Okay.
to get termites. Have a termite inspection.
You know,
Always.
I have run into a couple lenders that they are like, we can't fund you until you have a pest inspection.
A lot of lenders require it, especially VAs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people think if they're buying a new house, sorry, I'm sorry. A lot of people think if they're buying a new house that they don't need to have it inspected because it's had a pre-construction treatment.
I see.
And pre-construction treatments, even though they put protection on the soil, sometimes when they have brick veneer siding, people come in to put the brick veneer siding on, they disturb that soil. I'm having to recommend treatment on some houses that are still under construction that were pre-treated just months before.
Okay.
So, and that's usually it's no, no. I mean, it's nothing that the pre-treatment company did wrong. It's just sometimes in the construction phase, that pre-treatment gets disturbed.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Interesting. So give me something that you walked into a house, and I realize it could be an old house, but paint me that picture and tell me what happened.
okay, so
Woohoo!
I have gone into a few houses to where the termites have destroyed the studs so bad that the sheetrock had nothing to hang on to. So it was just falling off the walls, hanging by maybe one nail. Sheetrock's just setting on the slab because the studs were destroyed. And in this particular house, it was over 95% of the studs, interior walls and perimeter walls.
Over a course of how long maybe do you feel like that happened?
That would have had to been going on for years.
Really?
I'm sure a lot over quite a few years. It was maybe somebody lived there. This particular house, it was vacant, but in many cases, somebody lives there. They just shrug their shoulders at it, or maybe they don't go into one half of the house, or they just don't care. That's pretty rare. Most of the time, house is a big investment, so people are on top of things. But in this case, it had to have gone on for years, and then it was vacant for a few years too. So, yeah.
A few
So
years.
that's not something that happens overnight.
Yes, yes, I agree with that, but that's pretty, I mean, that's pretty scary, but I know it happens out there, especially if a house is left empty and that kind of thing. So, you know what, Jeff, again, how does somebody get a hold of you one more time in closing?
You can reach me all the time at 432-530-7348.
And that's Jeff Wade with A&T Pest Control, correct?
That's correct. A&T
All
Pest.
right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this video, Jeff, so you know, and the others and I'm going to put it on my YouTube video platform just because it allows people to kind of go around and see. Plus, I promote it because I can't very well go to your webpage and post things. So I'm going to put it there, and it's kind of nice for you to even have that to educate people and send it to them and let them know, hey, I'm out there in the community in the Permian Basin. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Set up an appointment with you. And the thing I like about it, Jeff, is you're on it within that week. And there's things that I have to do, as an agent, we're within option period or something. I have to get it done right away. And that's one thing I appreciate is just boom, boom, boom. I have to get it done quickly. So,
Yes, and I understand that when people are buying a house, they're usually on a timetable. They have to have their inspections done quick, and they need the paperwork quick. So that
yes,
way they
sir.
can make a decision. So yes, I definitely try to make it my priority. So
Well, I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you for being here today on Community Connect, and we will talk soon.
sounds good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye, Jeff.
Bye.